Good morning. As it turns out, it's sunny enough to do a video to show you everything that's growing at Goosefoot. This is the lake. Everything's starting to fill in, so it's getting a little harder to see the lake and see our well. This is the big trench that we're constantly working on filling. Ultimately, this is all going to get leveled out and made nice. Make it nice. This is our red oak, who's starting to be pretty happy for the season. At the base of it, there's a grape hyacinth that shows up every year. And every year I say I'm going to harvest it, and every year I don't. Nothing back here so far has been planted by us, other than these amazing lanterns that I'm completely in love with. So here we go. So this right here is a blue jay yelling. I don't know where he is, but I know he's here. This is a hellebore that was here when we first moved in. It was completely covered up in leaves, and once I uncovered it, she got super happy and has just been doing great. These bloom in cold weather, so it still has some of its blooms, but when it's like winter time, this really goes ballistic. And here are some bleeding hearts that I got from the clearance rack last year. I thought they died, and then they came back, like completely dead to the ground, and then they're coming back. But now, like, the leaves are getting yellow, and I'm not 100% that they're doing really well in this space, so I may dig them up and get them somewhere else on the property. Right next to them, right here, is a hydrangea, a little bit of a hydrangea, a rogue hydrangea from one that I had cut back, or not even cut back, I dug it out and moved it, and there was a little bit of rootstock left, and that's growing off of that, so I have to decide what I'm going to do about that. Here is more hellebore. I planted this one, same kind as before. This is our camellia tree. Here, when we got here, blooms these great pink flowers that are like the size of my fist when they open completely. They're awesome. This is the hydrangea I referenced digging up. It does better here than it did on the side of the house, but this one's shading it out, so I may dig that one up again. Here's some more hellebore that I planted, and here's some hellebore that I planted recently. Here is my monkshood patch that every year dies back down to the ground, and I think it's completely gone because I pull dead things out of the ground, and every year it comes back. This is Aconidium carmike, and so when it blooms, it's called cloudy monkshood, and when it blooms, the flowers are white, and they're like rimmed with purple blue. They're really nice. And then this is what I believe is another monkshood that I found at our nursery that we go to buy monkshood, called Pope's Gardens in Chislehurst in New Jersey. I believe they've been bought out by another individual, so some of the plants there, you can tell they've been there since the purchase happened, and the people running it don't necessarily pay attention to that kind of stock. They're looking more for like your annuals, like marigolds and petunias and things like that. So hopefully once they get their feet under them, they can get all that together. I was talking to the owner yesterday who did not know what monkshood was, and I showed him a photo of mine that had bloomed, and he was like, so if this blooms and it blooms true, like whatever it is, if it's monkshood, I'm gonna take photos, of course, and show it to them, and if I can get some seeds out of this guy this year, then I'll bring them some seeds of the cloudy monkshood. This is a rogue foxglove that made its way all the way over from here. This is what I've been referring to as my foxglove army. What I'm going to be doing is, this was all from plants that went to seed. Like, this was all just gone, and I let the seeds just do their thing and it started coming back. Last year we had no flowers. This year we have all of this. So I'm going to be digging out some of these babies very carefully to like thin them out so they grow nicer. You know, they'll be stronger with more room to grow. And then I will be taking those babies and planting them all over the property, like in the tree lines here, in a space I'm going to show you in a minute, all over, because foxglove are very good at self-seeding and they don't care what kind of light they get. I mean, they'll bloom better if they have full sun, but they'll grow in shade. And this is one of the foxgloves I bought this weekend, which is Camelot Rose foxglove. There's circus peanuts. This is some mugwort. This is actually a very old plant that my friend Amy Tolomeo gave to me many, many years ago. Little tiny baby mugwort. And every year it gets gigantic, and every year I cut it back, like straight down to the bottom of the pot, to the soil. And I'll harvest it some years, hang it up and dry it out. I have more dried mugwort than any one person should have. It's a literal trash bag. Some years I just have to throw it out because you don't need that much mugwort. No one needs that much mugwort. Back here are some yellow flag lilies that I did not plant. They were here when I got here, and as I've read, they are incredibly invasive. They've already started trying to colonize, like over here next to the foxglove, there were ones starting and I pulled them out. And what I'm going to do is the calla lilies that I bought that I'm going to show you in a minute, I'm going to plant them here instead. Calla lilies are perennial, but they don't always winter over well in New Jersey. It depends on the variety. We're zone B, but it's kind of changing and we're getting warmer, more like North Carolina, West Virginia kind of area. Sometimes. Some winters were just total normal Jersey. But one of the things that you can do with plants to help them winter over, if you can't bring them inside, is put them close to the house. Like either a pot, move it close to the house, or like these, I'm going to plant them. So hopefully the calla lily rhizome will not freeze in the soil, and I'll have calla lilies that come back next year. These are some columbine that I also did not plant. They were here when I got here. These also spread because it all started out with just that, and now there's all these. And I've also pulled more of these out too, and we'll likely be pulling out more of them. This is, as my friends list decreed, a flowering dogwood that showed up. I'm gonna let it grow here for a while until it's stronger and then either move it or figure something else out. That's some vinca that I have to get rid of. That was also here when we moved in. This is my scrubby little Christmas tree pine that I bought on clearance because I felt sad for it, and I bought 2 of them and the one died. They were the only 2 left, so I felt weird buying one because it was losing its friend, and then its friend died anyway. Hooray, good job, Tara. But this guy's just kind of hung on. I'm not sure where to plant him. We don't really have a good spot, but he lives in his bucket pretty well, so he stays there. These 4 are phlox. That's the tag. This is not really a full sun area, so they don't really get full sun. I'm thinking about digging them up and moving them elsewhere. This is an azalea that just got done blooming, so it's hideous. I've been kind of turning it into a bonsai structure. It used to be completely, you couldn't see down to the ground because there was so much, and I've been trimming it out because with this one, because it's tall, I like how it looks with like the bare trunks. So because it's spring, I have to go in and clear out the suckers that are growing, and then this branch, this big one that comes all the way down to there, isn't coming back as well as I'd like from winter. I'm gonna give it a little bit more time, but I think I might be trimming that one all the way out, so it'll kind of flatten the anterior profile or anterior view of the azalea. And then this is our gigantic rhododendron that also looks like hell right now because it just got done blooming. But their flowers are so alien, regardless of whether or not, like, this is a completely spent rhododendron flower, but it just looks crazy, and it's huge. This was here when we got here, obviously. I have no idea how old it is. This is my wormwood plant that my friend Ted so graciously gave to me. He brought it over winter time, so it was in a big bucket, and I had it next to the house, on the sunny side of the house, you know, to help it make it through. And when it started getting warm out, I repotted it and I trimmed all the dead wood off, and she's doing pretty good. Down here, I had planted last year. Our friend Tempest gave us like just a singular Datura anoxia, and it was beautiful. And it gave me one flower, you know, because I planted it kind of late in the year, and then it died back down to the ground, and I let it go to seed. And I am not sure that any of this is actually Datura coming up. I don't think it is, but I'm gonna let it grow until I can identify it. And if it's not Datura, I'm gonna pull it out. This is our giant American holly here when we got here. It had sustained some damage, I guess, from when they did the septic system. That's why it's like funky here, and it was all in here. So when we got the hose stuff, I thought that was a good spot for it to kind of hide how it's icky. So there we do that. This is where Damocles was, the one pole pine in front of the house. 90 to 100 feet high, about 15-20 feet away from the house, and it was devastating to have to cut it down because there was absolutely nothing wrong with it. It was just too close to the house. And I just realized as I'm talking about this that I forgot to point out another plant over here. I just saw it bloomed. This is a scrubby little rhododendron that I have been trying to resurrect. It was here when we got here, and it was not doing well because we had no gutters on the house, and it was just getting beaten all to shit. So was the hydrangea over on the other side of the steps, but this one got it worse. And I love white rhododendrons. I like white flowers to begin with. Oh hey fucker. But this one, finally got one bloom off of it. It just looks kind of, it's doing way better since we got the gutters. I just think it's going to take a little bit before it really comes back for me. But like, these are all new leaves. I got to trim off some of the grody looking ones. There's like flower buds on it for more, so I'm hopeful that it's doing okay with all of its foxglove friends. So that's number 2 rhododendron. I'm actually not sure how many we have. So this whole area right here, when we first saw the house, this was all grown in. This is now where they put the new septic system and then the accompanying leach field, drain field. So this all has to stay clear. We can't plant anything there because of the drain system. You don't want to damage it. And then this spot we have to really deal with. This is one of the more feral areas of the property. And the part that I'm in right now is not even that bad. When it goes past that one wood pile, it gets horrific. But we have to like level the ground out a little bit better here, put down some actual soil because it's nothing but just sand and clay. You can't grow anything but ivy. And there's a whole, speaking of ivy, there's a whole lot that we have to deal with. Like the ivy on this tree is not even technically ours. It's in the demarcation zone in between us and the neighbor. And the tree's still alive. And I think if I can kill that ivy, which I'm pretty sure I can, it'll be all right. But like all in there is all just overgrown ground cover and wisteria, which I am not looking forward to beginning to battle. And an old canoe, you know, because in case you want to go canoeing in the weeds. And all through here. more poison ivy, more wisteria, more horrible things, and our drain field. When we first moved in, this was nothing but wood chips because they had cut down all the trees that were here to build the drain field. So we did all of this. This is all grass and clover. I'm not a big fan of the monoculture grass lawns by any means, but we don't have much of a choice in this regard because we have to, one, build the land back up to stop the erosion, and two, can't put anything right here. So we just keep it kind of like that with clover. The clover was blooming, but then Chris mowed yesterday, so you can't see any of that. This is the Camilla. These are the calla lilies that I bought, that I referenced a minute ago, that I'm gonna plant over by the house where those invasive other lilies are. This one is a fresco calla lily. I bought 2 of these. They are very pretty. I've never grown callas before. And these, I bought 3 of these, and they are Black Hero calla lilies. And they are also very pretty. So they still have to go in the ground. Now this part is probably one of the more put together. These tags don't live here all the time. I put them down so I could tell you what plant was what. I don't just leave tags sitting out like that. But the idea is that this is going to ultimately become like a woodland / cottage garden of some variety. So a lot of this stuff is supposed to get bigger and fill in. I don't want to show too much mulch and dirt between everything. And then also you can see there's like a difference in mulch. That's because I'm in the middle of remulching this whole space. This whole space is so jacked, but I'm getting there. Over in that corner is what I was writing about the other day, yesterday, that I'll show you guys more closely, where everything is just wild. So here we have some coneflower, powwow white, and powwow wildberry. The deer predate on these like constantly, and there's some bugs that attack it. I bought some like deer spray, like deer repellent. It smells like death. And it's been working pretty well, but you have to like reapply it. And then my sprayer broke, so I have to get a new sprayer. And I have to figure out what the hell's eating them other than the deer. This is a silver mound wormwood, silver mound artemisia. I love these. We have a ton of them on the property. They're very fluffy. And see how it gets like that hole? It's because it got too much rain, so now it's a little unhappy. I have to like clear this bit out, maybe even split it into 2 so it starts to mound back up again. Then I have some asters that never quite come up because something keeps eating them. I've never seen these bloom. Same with these asters. I'm hoping that this year I can get some flowers out of them if I keep spraying them with the deer spray. Same thing with these. Prairie dusk beard tongue. I actually forgot I had them because of how much they were getting et. And I gotta keep spraying them with the deer stuff so they stop eating them. This is a white pillar rose of Sharon. Just planted this yesterday. These have like a narrow column growth, but they get these great white flowers. As I said, super obsessed with white flowers right now. More mound wormwood. Here is some more coneflower. This one is called Ruby Star. This one's pretty new. I haven't seen it bloom yet. Put it in last year. This is some ornamental rosemary, 2 of them that I got. That's the tag. And then some black-eyed Susans, which I hope will bloom for me this year. And some allium, big ornamental chives that'll get these big purple poofs on the end. They're coming back very nice from last year. This is a purple bellflower campanella that my friend Sean gave to me recently. Needs to be watered. She's a little droopy right now. I gotta water everybody. Here are some Nosferatu daylilies, which are amazing when they bloom. These I especially have to keep spraying with the no deer spray because they eat them right down to the ground. And it's terrible. This over here, these aren't doing too good. I can't grow weeds. I don't know what my problem is. This is milkweed. It's like two different native kinds of milkweed. And I think I planted kind of late last year, so hopefully it does better this year. Let me walk around this way. More silver mount wormwood. I told you I had a lot. And over here is my lavender graveyard. For some reason, I am never able to grow lavender no matter where I live, and I don't understand why. It's not a plant that likes me. So these are the 3 different kinds. I have no idea if the tags are next to what ones they are supposed to be. I'm pretty sure they're not. But we'll see how this stuff goes. If this doesn't do well this year, I'm gonna probably pull it up. Although it looks like some of it's spreading, which is funny. Here's another baby American holly that I'm letting grow to see what happens. There was a tree here before we moved in, like long before we moved in. This was a stump, even when we first saw the house. So I've just been letting it like decompose and letting it do its thing. It got this big mushroom on it, which is cool. Just letting it go into the ground, you know. I don't need to dig it out. It looks neat. Yep. And then we have this guy. We get these little pine sprouts all over the property from all the pine trees. And this one I'm gonna let get a little bigger, and then I'm gonna dig it up and plant it somewhere. There's some more foxglove. This is my ancient rue plant that I need to trim. I've had this for about as long as I've had that mugwort. They're my 2 oldest plants. This is, where's your tag? All the tags have to come off of these still. They just got put into the ground yesterday. Oh, it's this one. This is a Delaware Valley white azalea. Clearance. I'm looking forward to when that gets big. And then this is, I have a few of these too. Some juniper. They're low level, or like low height, and you know, they'll spread. Mounding growth habit. There's 2 of them on this side. Eventually they'll hold hands. This is all gonna get mulched in. Another Rose of Sharon, and some baby sassafras trees, which grow everywhere on this property. This is a baby bur oak or swamp oak. I'm never sure. I'm letting this one grow a little bit, and then I'm gonna dig it up and plant it somewhere better. It's a little too close to keep to the drain field. Like, the drain field starts after those 2 white things. Like, all this is not, but we have to keep like 10 feet of space. So I'd rather be overly cautious. This is another rhododendron that I just got. Taurus rhododendron. Clearance. I bought it because it's Taurus. And that's what Chris is. Baby sassafras. Chewed on baby sassafras, because the deer love the sassafras. Here is Midnight Ruby Rhododendron. Clearance. This also got planted yesterday. And looks a little scrubby, because, you know, like I was saying before, when their flowers go, they look terrible. Sassafras. I'm letting that one get big, because I want to see how big I can get it. before the deer take it down. Everything that's growing like a tall stick is sassafras that the deer have eaten. Over here is by our mailbox. This is a different kind of beard tongue. This is a cool plant. It looks fake when it's like grown out. Just the leaves look fake. This is a type of catmint. This guy, I lost the tag to, and I can't remember what it is. So I'm gonna have to do a ID excursion. Let me pull you out. Don't weed with bare hands. This growing right here is another native plant, wandflower. These are really cool when they get big. They get tall. Here's another silver wormwood that's not doing as good because it gets super beat up out here. Here's another kind of wandflower. This one's doing a little bit better. Here's another baby oak. And then this, I completely blank on what this is. It's perennial. It gets these little tiny blue silver flowers that are super pretty. It should still have them, but we had a cold snap in New Jersey and they all dropped. And I cannot remember for the life of me what the hell this is called. And I lost the tag. So it's another one where I have to do the leaf ID. And then I forgot to show you here. This is a rogue Japanese maple that came from one of the neighbor's trees, and I'm gonna see how big I can get it and dig it up and plant it somewhere better. There were 3 over here, and I think the other 2 just did not make the winter. That's the spot. Looked, and this, like I said, this is going to get all mulched. It looks kind of janky right now. More things are going to get planted over here. We're also going to be doing probably like some tall arborvitaes and all kinds of other interesting things, like do it to block the view. And on the other side of the arborvitaes, I want to plant all kinds of neat stuff of various heights and levels. You know it. This was a dead sassafras that got cut down recently. It's very sad. This is the big mess that I have to get in there and get all of those leaves out, which doesn't look as bad on camera as it does in person, let me tell you. And all this dead wood out, and all the vines, because there's Virginia creeper, and there's poison ivy, and there's a stupid friggin' wild grapevine that I have to kill. And this is the bittersweet nightshade that showed up by itself. This is, I used a term a couple times in my recent post. I kept calling it zombie trees. Zombie trees, what I mean by those are trees that someone tried to cut down because they were trying to kill it, and the tree said, "Fuck you, no." That's what this is. So you can see where they cut the tree, and then it said, "Nah, I ain't ready." You know, like, see how screwed up it is? It's still like, "Nope, I'm doing this. And I'm gonna do it for as long as you let me," essentially. Because this tree, way up there, so he's still doing okay. And then I mentioned the one that's like dying on its feet. There's these 2 where like the electric company topped them. Snicker. But it's dead on its feet. The other side of it, I'm not gonna walk around the other side, but the other side, the bark is just coming off in swaths. These are cool right here. These are all over the property too. This is redbud. It's another native tree in the understory, in the like tree lines, they're not doing great because they're shaded out so bad right here, in part because of this goddamn wild grapevine. But once I clear that out, I hope the redbud really like perks back up. And then there's like some cedar that's in there and some other stuff, all kinds of things. I have no idea how much of it was planted by previous owners, how much of it just showed up on its own. Another baby pine. Here's more juniper, more of those. More baby sassafras and wild grapevine. And yeah, another foxglove. And then another kind of catmint. This one at least has flowers. And then these guys, these 5, are some of my favorites. Not native by any means, but daylily, blackthorn daylily. Clearance. I was so excited to find those. They get really pretty flowers. And then, yeah, buddy. This is another rhododendron. Purple gem rhododendron. And this is gonna get about 2 feet high, 2 feet wide. So it's a little rhododendron. It'll fit good in this spot right here. See a poison ivy? And some baby sassafras. And some poison ivy. And some baby sassafras. This tree has a really scary vine on the other side of it. That's poison ivy. And here's, I can get up close and show you. See how there's no mitten? When poison ivy gets big like this and it climbs and it gets branchy, because there are certainly branches that are coming off of this, it loses the mitten, which is one of the best ways of identifying it. This is all poison ivy going all the way up this oak. It goes up about 2/3 of the way, I think, 3/4, forget. And on this side it doesn't look too bad, and on the other side you're like, oh fuck. So I gotta deal with that. And it's growing all along in here. I killed some that was more in here yesterday, but I definitely have to deal with these bitches because they are everywhere. And it's Virginia creeper. See how it's 5 leaves? Different from poison ivy, but you'll see them together quite often. And some people will have allergies to Virginia creeper. You know, it's not the same kind of plant. It doesn't have the urushiol. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The oils that come from poison ivy, that's what actually gives you the irritation. I don't know if creeper has it. I know English ivy can cause the reactions too, but I also don't know if it has the same kind of oil in it. But some people are sensitive to it. Here are some more hellebore, 4 of them. What I want these to do is spread out. Hellebore is another thing that will very happily naturalize an area and kind of do its thing, and I want this to create a ground cover to help keep the unwanted things from coming back. This is a better looking catmint. Their little flowers are so cool. So, yeah, it just does its thing over here. We'll figure it out. I'll take you over into the back. Well, kind of into the back. I don't want to walk all the way back there. Not properly attired. So you can see all in here. This was one of the other oaks that got cut down. They had to leave the stump because they couldn't get the stump grinder back here because of the drain field in the septic. But this is all like sassafras and wisteria and zombie cherry trees coming back, and probably all manner of other annoyances. This is English ivy. There's English ivy patches that are all over. There was right here, when we first moved in, it was a tree that was completely encased in ivy. Gooses are here. That we had our friend Beck cut down because it was dead, just dead all the way through. And it was beginning to develop a lean. So I said, hey Beck, can you come over here and be awesome? And they said, I sure will. And they came down and they cut that down. This is actually the remains of the ivy tree. I still have to get rid of it. See how all the other plants are quite liking it. This is all overgrown. This is I think this is cherry or hickory, I forget, that I saved from vines. All in here is Virginia creeper, and there's some kind of crazy ground cover over there. This used to be the old drain field for the house, somewhere in this, and the old septic system. It's gotten much worse. You know, we haven't cleaned any of this out since we moved in, so the ivy's just coming in and taking over this spot. We have to deal with it. But there's all like daffodils that come every year. I'm gonna dig these guys up for the bulbs and plant them in better places. And there's wisteria and probably tree of heaven and other annoying things. Let me step down very carefully. Clear all this out. This is a path that we have to clear out. All the leaves are just hard to manage, but there's a lot of just broken limbs and stuff from trees getting cut down, and then the winter, you know, we got to clear it all out. And then there's like old ivy that's falling off of the trees that we have to clean up. This is all old, whatever kind of ivy that was. Somebody killed it at some point. On all of them. I'm not going to walk real far into the yard because I think the geese are here. I heard them. I saw a head. And then I didn't see where they went. So I don't want to bother them. But this is all the way back in there. Totally grown over. There's a lot of invasive multiflora rosa. It's like invasive rose. Terrible. They're like taking over the one tree by the water. There's an elder tree also down by the water. It's this guy. This is something else, but that's the elder. And that's another one where every year I want to harvest from it and every year I don't. To harvest from that, I'm gonna have to stand in the lake. That and the birds get to it before I can. So I also want to take a cutting from that and plant it somewhere a little more reasonable. So there's our oak again. We also ultimately have to deal with this problem. This isn't the house, it's a shed. So at least it's not up against the actual house. It's not a danger to the house is a danger to it because of this. So we definitely have to deal with that. But this is everything that's growing right now at Goosefoot.